Our top focus story comes from the Boryspil International Airport here in Kiev, where a large number of Indian students and workers took the first flight available back home to India. The Ministry of External Affairs and the Indian mission here in Kiev had advised students to temporarily leave Ukraine as uncertainty and tensions rise, and those tensions have spiked in the past 24 hours after Russian troops, tanks, armored personnel carriers and artillery guns were seen moving into Donetsk and Luhansk, the two rebel-held territories now declared as independent countries by the Russian President Vladimir Putin. Before I get you more on that story, let's take a look at this report from the Boryspil International Airport, where I spoke to a number of Indian students studying medicine here. They, of course, want to stay back and study, but would rather go home, especially now with the university administration having agreed to online classes as long as the crisis lasts. We are at the Boryspil International Airport, and a number of Indian students are now heading back to the country. With me are two students of medical. Tell me your name. What college are you in?
We are in Bogomolets National Medical University, and my name is Niveta.
What's your name?
Lakshmi.
Why are both of you heading back to India?
Because of our classes of online, so we are back to India.
Okay, so no more classes being held offline now?
No, it's online. All.
Now, is this because of the rising tension in Ukraine?
Yeah, of course.
Are you scared because of this tension?
No, not much. We are not affected by this situation. But still we thought of going back because it's online.
Have your parents also asked you to come? Were your parents very worried?
Yeah, probably my parents asked me to come. Because of that issue, everybody is fear of that. So they asked me to come.
Have your parents also asked you to come back to India?
Yeah, of course.
And is there a lot of panic amongst Indian children here? Do they all want to head back? Are all flights that are going back packed? Have prices gone up?
Yeah, probably the prices are double the rate. If we book one way, it is double the rate. If we book return also, but it is okay. And then we are not afraid that much. But our parents are thinking like it is too like afraid in here. So we are back to India.
But would you rather stay here? What are your local friends telling you? What are Ukrainian friends telling you?
Like, they are not afraid. They have to stay here, right? So the situation is normal actually inside here.
Okay. So I know you're getting late to check in. I wish you all the best. All the best. Fly safe. So a large number of Indian students have arrived here. Some are taking this Air India flight. Others are taking other commercial flights. But their aim is to leave Ukraine as quickly as possible as tension mounts. Is there a lot of panic amongst Indian children here? Do they all want to head back? Are all flights that are going back packed? Have prices gone up?
Yeah, probably the prices are double the rate. If we book one way, it is double the rate. If we book return also, but it is okay. And then we are not afraid that much. But our parents are thinking like it is too like afraid in here. So we are back to India.
But would you rather stay here? What are your local friends telling you? What are Ukrainian friends telling you?
Like, they are not afraid.
जो यूक्रेन का मामला है, भारत यही चाहता है कि किसी तरीके से शांति स्थापित हो और बातचीत के द्वारा इसका समाधान निकाला जाए, यह भारत चाहता है। और अभी जो सूचना प्राप्त हुई है, उसमें अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति मिस्टर बाइडेन ने यह कहा है कि हम रूस के प्रेसिडेंट पुतिन से बातचीत करने को तैयार हैं। यदि दोनों की बातचीत होगी, तो मैं तो आश्वस्त हूं कि कोई न कोई समाधान निश्चित रूप से निकलेगा। भारत का जहां तक पक्ष है, भारत शांति चाहता है। भारत सदैव से विश्व शांति का पक्षधर रहा है।
We have been very clear that there should be de-escalation of tensions, that the world cannot afford another conflict, that diplomacy and diplomatic efforts are the only way in order to reach an amicable solution that is acceptable to all. And I think this has been our consistent approach to this issue. We have been in touch with all concerned.
The United States says sanctions are being imposed on anyone who deals with the new territories declared as independent countries by the Russian President Vladimir Putin. So Donetsk and Luhansk, independent countries now. Ukraine says these are rebel-held sovereign territories of Ukraine, and borders will not be permitted to change. Of course, sanctions will also be announced by other European countries. Germany saying that Nord Stream 2, which is a very major gas pipeline between Russia and Germany, that will not be certified. The UK will also announce sanctions. Canada says they will announce sanctions. The US permanent representative to the United Nations said that the Minsk agreement is in tatters. Ukraine wants to become a part not just of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, but the buzz on ground is that they also want nuclear weapons, something that the Russian President Vladimir Putin also indicated will not be permitted. This is a core security issue as far as Russia is concerned. NATO exercises in Ukraine completely unacceptable for Russian security. Let's listen into reactions and counter reactions coming in at the diplomatic level globally.
Those who chose the way of violence, they admit they see no other way to resolve the Donbas crisis other than the military way. In this regard, I deem it necessary to make a decision that should have been made a long time ago, to immediately recognize the independence and sovereignty of Donetsk People's Republic and Lugansk People's Republic. And I would like to request the Federal Assembly to support, to back this decision and ratify the agreement of friendship and mutual help with both republics. We will draft this document and sign these documents in the near future.
And there is anger on the streets of the national capital, Kiev, here in Ukraine. I spoke to a popular blogger, Alexander, and Alexander says, while some of this was anticipated, it wasn't expected that action would be so drastic. They had thought of some Russian troops coming in, but two rebel-held territories being declared an independent country, according to him, is an act of war. People in Ukraine think that Russia has already invaded Ukraine. Ukraine is waking up to the reality of the steps taken by Russian President Vladimir Putin. And with me is Alexander. Alexander is a blogger here, a former journalist in Ukraine. Alexander, what do you make of steps taken by the Russian president?
I think that's a war. That's a direct war against Ukraine and against Ukrainian nation. That's violation, terrible violations of any international laws and direct occupation of our land.
Is this the first step, or is this the final step, or do you fear, is there an apprehension of an escalation?
We know it exactly. That's not the end. That's just the beginning of the terrible path for Russia and for Vladimir Putin. That will be yesterday. They just signed the fatal end, and that will be just something like Armageddon for Russia. Because now we are not obliged of doing anything with Minsk agreements. That was just not very good for our policy, for our country. Now we are free to do, and we are ready to fight.
No, so do you think that the Russians, as some of the Americans say, will the Russians now from Belarus try to come to Kiev and from the eastern side take over Kharkiv? Is that a possibility?
That's of course a huge possibility, but we are ready to fight. Ukraine is not anymore than it was 8 years ago in 2014. I was in Donbas in that time. Just in this time I was in Donetsk. That's happened. We came there to help to rebuild the region, but Russians just stopped us because of the Crimean invasion, and then they trying to invade whole our Donetsk and Lugansk region, the southern and the eastern part of Ukraine. Now they didn't make to do it 8 years ago. Now they think that they have a second chance.
So you think there's a war? You think there's a war that's going to happen? They will not just stop with Donetsk and Lugansk?
We have a war. We have a war for more than 8 years. It's never been stopped by any negotiations or any accidental meetings or even presidential election didn't change anything. That's for sure. We are in a war with Russia. That's true. That's our reality.
The Russian invasion is a sign of war, is what people in Ukraine say. They are at war. They have been at war since Crimea in 2014. That war has just escalated. It's been taken altogether to a new level. Now, reports from the newly carved republics, People's Republic of Donetsk and Luhansk, seem to indicate that Russian tanks, troops, armored personal carriers and artillery guns have moved into this area. And what does this indicate? This indicates that the border, de facto border, has already shifted, and that these artillery pieces or armor will now be much closer to the Ukrainian soldiers. And this is where eastern Ukraine, the situation is likely to escalate in the days and weeks ahead. We bring you this ground report.
There is a line that is dividing what was supposed to be a single political entity. This is Ukraine and its line of divide, where the conflict has left life horribly caught in the resulting crossfire. Over the past couple of days, there has been a resumption of heavy shelling. The intensity of it has only firmed the cracks of a broken nation.
I feel bad that we lost so many lives at this war. There are so many broken souls. It's bad. As for them leaving, it doesn't matter. We won't be able to do anything about it. We won't be able to return them.
Whether you recognize it or not, it's already separated. What will be next? Maybe they will manage to agree and maybe not.
On the other side of the line of contact, Russian-backed separatists have been evacuating people. Some moved out of fear of war as the shelling intensified. Others left out of desperation. The story of abandonment being the same on either side.
After the evacuation was announced, the entire neighborhood moved out. You went out in the street and there were no people.
You don't sleep at night and can count around 50 abandoned houses, completely empty. Many more ruined not by the war, but by being abandoned.
The shelling gradually picked up. Everyone started to leave. In our building, I was practically the only one left. It felt scary to be alone with no one around, so I finally decided to leave.
Though the villages have nearly emptied out since the conflict began in 2014, not everybody is ready to up and leave. There are those who say they will stay and they will not give up and flee.
At the moment, we do not need any additional help because I want to say that at the moment everything is stable. It can be said that the situation has not changed. God forbid. If it changes, we are ready to defend ourselves. We hope that our Ukrainian army will support and defend us.
In some villages like these along the line of contact, all is not lost in the hearts of its residents, and hope still seems to linger for a peaceful resolution.
People are tired. It has been 8 years of the war. There was a ceasefire and now the shootings have resumed. Why do we have a profession called diplomacy if we are talking with weapons? It has to be resolved. Even our aggressor or non-aggressor Putin says that every war and confrontation ends at a negotiation table.
The sound of shelling is a constant reminder of tensions in the region. It has become largely a part of life for the people here.
My daughter lives in Ukraine and my son is in the city. Of course, nobody can come here. But what can we do?
They have been shelling all day?
That's nothing. They're just shelling the Volvo factory. It's nothing to worry about.
While world leaders look for solutions and guns face guns, in belligerent righteousness. As the skies shell death from above, another invisible man-made line continues to extract life out of the living. This is Ukraine.
The apprehension is that the situation will deteriorate and go from bad to worse in the days and weeks ahead, and that not just ground troops but cyber attacks and other forms of warfare will be waged on Ukraine. We will continue to get you ground reports from Ground Zero, but that is all I have time for on this India Today special broadcast from Ukraine. Many thanks for watching.